podcast where two bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condover-Kate, and I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
It's Mr. Ben Harrington.
It's Mr. Ben Harrington. How the devil are you?
It is.
It is.
Devil makes work for idle hands. I'm good.
I could tell you're thumbing your microphone there.
Thumbing it in.
We got an
bit
email.
Sniffly, so...
Oh, notice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, tell us about your sniffles.
I'm a bit sniffly, so I'm gonna apologise in advance if I'm too sniffly. I'm getting to the point where I think I need to blow my nose, but I'm gonna power through. And if I need to do it, I'm just gonna do it with my t-shirt. Okay.
That's hardcore, mate. That's dedication.
Yep.
Okay, so we got an email this morning from Kristen, who said, "Loves the horror hangout so much. I watch a lot of movies because you and Ben review them. Would it be possible to hear you review The Creature from the Black Lagoon? It doesn't seem like you reviewed as much old stuff now that the list is done. But regardless, love what you're doing. Thank you." Thanks, Kristen. I think Kristen has brought up a very good point. Now that we're sort of not like tied down by the list,
yeah,
we're not going over the cliff.
No, not at all. We're nowhere near the cliff. We're fully in the mainland, fully nowhere near any cliff edges, enjoying ourselves.
I think we need to do some more like Universal horror, and so, even maybe another Hammer horror film, because we've not done one since The Devil Rides Out. I think.
Okay, I'm up for that. Maybe that could be a New Year's resolution for the horror as it goes into its third year number 3.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay.
it sounds about right.
Thanks, Kristen. We will definitely. It's always good to hear from people. We'll definitely. I think we should do The Creature from the Black Lagoon in January.
Okay. Yep. I'm up for that. I'm not scared of the cliff edge. Let's do it.
So, have you got any news? Santa's coming.
Santa's coming. He's gonna come down your chimney, and
the dirty bleeder. Go on.
The dirty bleeder is gonna empty a sack all over your carpet, and you're gonna have to get it cleaned the next day. So, in terms of news, A Quiet Place Part 2, we know it's being made, and we've kind of heard a few things about it. But today, we got like a poster for the film, and also like a teaser trailer. I haven't actually watched it, but apparently it's going to be an official trailer on New Year's Day. So the kids, spoilers obviously for A Quiet Place Part 1. Is this a spoiler? All right, let's not do that. I'm not going to spoil it. Don't worry.
No.
Characters in this film, returning characters in the first film.
Yeah.
We were a bit iffy on it, weren't we, when we reviewed it?
It's showing up in all the best horror movies of the decade lists.
Yeah.
And I'm still not convinced.
No, not at all. I mean, I've shared it. I've shared like this stuff and sort of tried to shine a light on the fact that this film's happening. But yeah, I'm not impressed by A Quiet Place, and I think as time's gone by, I look back on it even less fondly.
It was well made and well directed, but
nonsensical.
Yeah, it just doesn't sit right in the stomach.
And I don't think it was very unique in the way it tackled the subject matter.
There's also a thing that doesn't sit right with me is that Josh Krasinski didn't come up with the concept for this film. When the writers, who I can't remember the names, the two writers pitched them. Actually, it was the two people who made Haunt. They wrote and directed Haunt, that recent film. They solved the screenplay, or they had it optioned or whatever, and then Josh Krasinski rewrote a lot of the family stuff, I believe, which is fine. Those bits worked really well. But then in all of the sort of the run-ups to the awards and stuff, he constantly talked about how he wrote it, or like he came up with the idea. It's like not saying outright that like I made up this idea of The Quiet Place, but I don't know. Part of the way he was sort of talking about it just made me think: are you going to mention the people who came up with a core concept that sold this film so well? Like he just never seemed to bring it up, so that doesn't really sit too well with me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a little bit of a shitter.
But I like him. I like Jim.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. So apart from that, Keith Thomas directing new adaptation of Stephen King's Firestarter for Blumhouse. Blumhouse, as I said last week, have a day off, obviously, but they're they're churning them out.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention briefly Black Christmas because I didn't actually go and see it.
No, I'm not going to either.
Purely based on reviews. And I know I'm not always that guy who just kind of. But if I would have seen like a few good reviews, I probably would have gone, well, maybe I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
But almost everything just called it like one of the worst of the year, and all this stuff. And I think from the way the trailer was pretty much a shit show, and felt like it gave everything away, even though you kind of know the story anyway.
Yeah.
I've checked out of it, and I probably won't see it because I'm not going to see it in the new year. I'm not going to watch a Christmas film. It's not Christmas, mate. All right. So it might have to be next year that I watch it.
I mean, it might sound a bit bad that we just say we're not going to watch it, but I mean, I wasn't sold.
Maybe we'll get
on it.
Maybe we'll get round to it, but basically, we're not going to do a Black Christmas / Christmas episode of this podcast. Sorry, but so there's going to be a new version of Firestarter. Have you seen the original Firestarter with Drew Barrymore, 1984 film directed by Mark L. Lester?
Drew Barrymore.
Barrymore.
No, I've not seen it. I hear it's quite good.
Daughter of Michael Barrymore. I've not seen it either. So again, maybe that could be one to add to the list of future films we need to watch. I
was talking about Dr. Sleep to a friend today, who's a big fan of the Stephen King as a general. They like Stephen King when he's in the army. But I was trying to explain to him like it's like the perfect Stephen King adaptation, and I really do think it is. The more I think about it, the more I think if you like Stephen King books, then you will probably really like Dr.
Is that
Sleep.
film going to rate highly on your top horror films of the year episode, which we will be releasing probably between Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, I do. I am like trying to think, what have I missed out on? Like, what films was I supposed to see this year that I haven't? And I don't know what.
So I missed out on a few things. I was trying to make a list the other day, and I think a lot of the things I've missed out on are kind of like smaller, either independent films or things that have been on Shudder that I've not, seen, like things like Haunt, which obviously you've mentioned previously. And I've kind of been trying to squeeze in a few. The film we're reviewing today was one of them as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've missed any major ones. I don't think we've missed any big ones. We may have skipped out on something like that. What word am I thinking?
La Llorona.
La Llorona, but I think we did that, for good reason.
Yeah. Okay, Ben. Go on.
So one more newsy item is that after last week, the trailer for Resident Evil 3, which I think we discussed. Did we discuss that on the podcast?
It sounds like something we would discuss.
Yeah, I think we did. Anyway, so Capcom have apparently registered a few new trademarks. One of which is Dino Crisis, which is one of my favourite survival horror games of the PlayStation 1 era.
You did a play along on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I did a little video on that of both the games. I've really enjoyed them. So perhaps we're going to get a remake of that in the same vein of Resident Evil 2 and 3, which would be nice. So apparently it's a panic horror game, not a survival horror game. Because, don't panic, mate. Don't bloody panic. So that'd be nice. Did you play that? Did you like that?
Dino Crisis?
Yeah, Dino's Crisis.
No, I had the demo. Never played it all the way through. When I was a kid, I couldn't play those games. I was too scared.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty scary.
Yeah.
So that's that for news. How exciting.
Okay, cool. By the way, panic horror, that makes me think more of Outlast, where it's just like...
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
It's less like survival horror, more like just moments of...
Goddamn life.
Yeah. I was going to say, okay, so something I've been watching. I was trying to catch up on some like bits and pieces, but I ended up getting enamoured by the Watchmen TV show. I've watched. I think last week I spoke about a couple of episodes, and I was like, this is good, and people are like absolutely losing their minds on it, which I think you were maybe that way inclined, and like I was like, this is good. And then I was like, I'm not completely sorry. It still feels a bit TV for me. But then I think it was like episode 8. I'm not going to say any spoilers. People know that Dr. Manhattan's in the show, right?
I don't think so. But so, okay. He might be in it. So basically, let's not spoil anything in particular. But let's just say there are a lot of new characters and there are a few old characters, some more than others, that get sort of explored.
The best thing about this show is the way it reframes characters from the original series, the graphic novel, in ingenious ways that feel like that's the way they should have been done in the first place.
In ingenious ways that like feel like it feels like a good enough companion piece to the graphic novel, but it doesn't completely like disregard the film.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So if you'd only seen the film, not read the graphic novel, and then you watch this, a lot of things would be familiar, and there are a lot of callbacks to things that happen in the film and in the graphic novel.
Yeah.
It feels like they've really taken their time to. But yeah, some of the best individual episodes of TV I think I've seen.
Yeah, there's 2 episodes in particular. I think just kind of blown away, like emotionally. Like when I was watching, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm getting really like choked, like getting really into this.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the performances are all great. The music, which is like Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails, is like just suave.
Yeah.
It's like it's cool as fuck. It's a really sophisticated TV show. Is one thing that I've kind of described it as. It, even though like people go, what's this TV show about? Like, you can't say superheroes because it isn't, is it? I mean, it's about so much more. It's about so much more.
Well, so the first 3 episodes, that kind of put me off a bit, the superhero-iness of it. And I had a friend in a Discord channel say the same thing. They're like, they gave up because it was too superhero for them. I'm thinking, by about episode 4, that kind of simmers away, and you just get like great storytelling, great drama, great action, and it is fantastic. I've seen people say it's better than the graphic novel, which doesn't really make sense to me, because, I mean, the graphic novel created the toys for them to play with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
enough.
It feels like the graphic novel's got a bigger scale of imagination, I think, from a person. That's the way I sort of personally see it. But I do think they've done an incredible complementary piece with the TV show that I think Alan Moore would like quite a bit.
He'll never watch it, but
I don't think he watches TV, does he?
No, he just watches. I don't know. What does he watch? Oh, I couldn't say. But yeah, I think it was. I mean, I love the film. I love the graphic novel. So the more of this style of something, the more Watchmen style stuff, and the more of these characters I can get, the better. And I think it just satisfied me in every way possible. Because before it came out, I was a bit like,
yeah,
meh.
me too. Yeah, that was a bit like that. I think Damon Lindelof has had a few hits and a few misses, I think. Then again, has he? I mean, Prometheus is a bit janky, but Lost is one of my favourite TV shows of all time. Like, it's a different kind of TV show. It's a different era. But it
would be nice if that was it. If this stayed as a singular series of TV and we never got to see any more again, it would be perfect.
I think he said that. Damon Lindelof said he got it all out on the page in his 9 episodes, so he doesn't want to do it anymore. So I think he's learned his lost lessons, perhaps.
He's learned his lost lessons, mate. Yeah. He's learned his lost lessons.
Yeah, it's great. So if you've not been watching it yet, watch it. That's all I can say. I'll tell you what, I've also been reading. Have you read much Grant Morrison? Speaking of comics,
I've read. I've read bits and bobs, but what have you been?
Mate at work lent me The Filth, which is
I've not seen that. I've read that.
It's a Vertigo book. Grant Morrison, going absolute. It's the most insane thing I've read in a long time. It's about a guy called Greg Feely who's sort of a horrific human being, lives on his own, watches porn all the time, has a pet cat, and that's his life. And then you find out that he's actually a sleeper agent for this sort of interdimensional superhero task force, and it just gets more and more insane with every passing page. Like, it's difficult to keep up with it because it just gets like crazier and crazier. But it's got all this amazing sort of world third wall breaking stuff, but it's like people who I can't even explain it really. People, I don't really even know I understand the ending of it, but I will say that it's probably my favorite graphic novel I've read in like years. Like, it reminds me of reading how I felt when I was reading Preacher, and how I felt when I was reading that sort of those Vertigo books that are really hardcore going, funny, insanely gory, just insane on the storytelling level. But yeah, I think if you like that era of comic books, I think you'll like the filth.
Yeah, it looks pretty nuts. Looking at some screenshots now.
There's a issue in it where a guy has like this radioactive sperm, and the sperm are big enough they start killing people. There's one bit where a delivery man turns up at this evil porn maestro's house and ends up getting sucked into an orgy that he can't escape. It's good. It's good, man. It's really good.
Help me! I'm stuck in an orgy.
Yeah. What about you?
He's I haven't watched that much, to be honest. I watched Marriage Story.
Oh mate.
Lot of good reviews that you kind of told me to watch it as well, and yeah, I really liked it. I think it should be called Divorce Story probably. But yeah, very hard hitting, emotional family drama. 2 really good lead performances. A really nice, snappy script.
Yeah, I think the worry is going into that is going to be dreary, but it's really nice.
Yeah, no, it's not dreary. And there's some musical numbers as well, which I guess we didn't expect. But
did it get you in the feels at all?
A little bit, yeah. It didn't make me. Maybe I didn't choke up or anything. Because it was a bit of a weird one, because it's almost like, are you supposed to be on anyone's side in particular? I almost felt like I couldn't side with either of them I think
that's the point. Like, it doesn't
it wasn't like
favorites.
I think that's maybe why I didn't feel too. It didn't affect me too much emotionally, because I didn't feel like I understood certain things about the relationships, but I didn't feel like I sided with one person in particular.
I felt like I was siding with them against the lawyer system.
Yeah.
That was horrific when the lawyers are sort of
and that's really Ray Liotta, and I was like, I didn't even recognize him.
They're like going to town on like digging into the details of this couple's lives and sort of making details out to be much bigger than they actually were, and then it's really horrific. And then once there's a recess or something, they start talking about how they're going to pop around to each other's kids' birthday parties and stuff, and there's no animosity at all. It's like it's just a game. It's like it's just like a job to them. It's weird.
So that was that. Anything else? I've not really watched all that much else this week.
No, go on, sorry.
I'm going to do some Star Wars catching up. I'm not going to do everything, like a lot of people have been doing. I'm going to do Force Awakens and Last Jedi before I go and see Rise of Skywalker at some point over the weekend. Maybe do Rogue One and maybe Solo again over Christmas.
Yeah. I'm going to try. There's a film I've seen people talking about called Daniel Isn't Real. Have you seen people talking about this one?
Yeah. I've that's on my radar as well.
It looks cool. It's like a horror Drop Dead Fred, apparently. And it's got Patrick Schwarzenegger? One of the Schwarzenegger kids.
Okay. The Schwartzies.
Yeah.
One of them there, Schwartzies.
That sounds like it might be right up my street. Just looking up my street there. Okay. Yeah, man. So other than that, it's just the girl on the third floor I watched.
Yeah, I watched that as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So have you got any info on the girl on the third floor?
Sure thing. So Girl on the Third Floor is a 2019 horror film directed by Travis Stevens, written by Travis Stevens, Paul Johnstone and Ben Parker, starring CM Punk, Trieste, Kelly Dunn and Tonya Kay. The film tells the story of a deeply flawed husband who renovates an old home for himself and his wife, and supernatural events that ensue while they live there.
Yeah.
Or it's more like while he's doing it up, while they live there.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, critics giving 81%. The Rotten Tomatoes users are giving it 39%. They're not having it. 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb. I haven't actually looked on Letterboxd, but I think it was like a 2.9. Feels like it was around that sort of point. So yeah, I mean, it's
2.8.
Oh yeah.
Sure, mate.
Okay, so I was quite interested to watch this film because the poster art is fantastic. Not just this one, the main one with like the house and the heart. There's another one. There's 2 more pieces of art. They both look amazing.
Yep. It's just like a house and a heart thing.
Also, CM Punk's in it, so I'm like already quite interested.
Yeah.
I like to follow CM Punk. He seems like a cool guy. I liked watching him in the UFC, even though he lost pretty horrifically. And I just want to see what that guy does. He seems like a interesting Although he hasn't credited himself as CM Punk in this, he credited himself as Phil Brooks.
Phil Brooks, but a lot of things on the poster say Phil, CM Punk, Brooks.
Okay.
So I was trying to guess. CM Punk's in this, mate. Ooh, CM Punk. Yeah, I really liked the aesthetics of this film. I liked the font used for like the opening credits,
Like a tattoo studio.
and the title credits, and there were some weird sort of like musical choices in this. I don't know I don't know what band it is, or whether it's just the same band, but it almost sounds like they've got like 4 or 5 songs by the same band.
Right.
They've included them. I mean, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, some interesting music choices as well. Some more jarring than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, not like the most unique concept in the world. Essentially, like a weird, creepy, haunted house. But
Yeah. I mean, so this is kind of a lower budget film, I believe. It feels that way. But I think it's Travis Stevens' first feature film he's written and directed. So I mean, on the top of it, he's done a good job, I reckon. It's all practical effects, it looks like. There's a lot of practical effects. This film is gooey, juicy, sticky, tacky. Probably sour. I imagine a lot of it's sour. If you stick your tongue in the juices that are everywhere, there's a lot of sex stuff. There's like a condom, loose condom stuff. There's a
lot of viscous semen-like fluid.
Yeah, maybe too much semen-like fluid. I think.
Yeah,
maybe wonder what they used to make.
Marbles and various other spherical objects being inserted in areas, orifices.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one. How did you feel about it in general?
It's kind of a bit it's a bit like insane, but like in a not necessarily in a good way. It's a bit insane. It's weird.
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't quite sit right. It doesn't quite feel like, I don't know. You know when you watch a film and it doesn't feel like the characters are behaving or interacting in a way that human beings genuinely do. It almost feels a bit odd. And as like a fan of CM Punk and as someone who's watched a lot of CM Punk in WWE, something about his acting feels good, but it feels very pro wrestling. It doesn't feel...
He cannot act in a natural way yet. I mean, it's the first film in it, so maybe it'll get better. But like, there's a point in this film where there's like a protagonist shift. When it shifts from CM Punk, who feels like everything is sort of not he's not really saying them as a person. It shifts to this woman character. Suddenly the dialogue that becomes way breezier between people. It feels like actual people having conversations. I'm like, CM Punk, man, there's a great bit when he gets really angry, and I'm like, that was a good moment. He like punches the cabinet.
Yeah, there were like tonal shifts, like shifts in his mood and stuff that I didn't quite buy. I was a bit like, what on earth's going on? It's just like, and you know, standard in a horror film, especially a horror film like this, is where people don't genuinely do things that people would really do in these scenarios. There's a hell of a lot, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but there's a hell of a lot of people going into a room or staying in a house long after they would have left. You know, long after they would have left. People aren't asking the right questions, and it just feels a bit frustrating in that way. It doesn't quite feel... It almost feels dreamlike in that way, that these things aren't really, happening.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no intention to cover up CM Punk's tattoos either. So the fact he's got straight edge tattooed on his stomach, and a hell of a lot of time he's drinking. He's got like the Pepsi logo tattooed on his arm up there as well. He's supposed to be like a former lawyer, and I know, of course, whatever tattoos you got aren't going to relate to your chosen career path in any way.
Yeah.
But it really, really, really did feel like it reminded me of like vignettes you get in wrestling sometimes,
right?
That are a bit like this. Like over the last few years, we've had these where there are a few characters who are like a bit horror themed, and we've had these sort of vignettes in a house of horror, or like the Wyatt compound and stuff like that. And it felt a lot like that. It felt, and again, not just because CM Punk's a pro wrestler, but probably because he is, it made me think of it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Is where it just almost feels like a bit weird and dreamlike and not quite cinematic. Not cinematic.
I think maybe I do know what you mean, the dreamlike. There's some 70s horror camera movements You know, like the zoom into people's faces,
Oh
which I
yeah,
thought
I
was
love
kind of
I
cool.
love all that shit.
But
Yeah,
I think they should have leaned into the dreaminess a bit more. It reminded me, the aesthetic reminded me of the Channel Zero TV series, where it's like
yeah,
kind of arty and bizarre and weird. But they like really leaned into the dream logic kind of side of stuff. So things felt really uncanny and sort of like unnerving. Whereas this one's kind of felt like it still had one foot in the real world, and that was maybe too many
yeah.
feet in the real
I
world.
mean, I enjoyed the fact that we didn't get, jump scares as such, and when the genuine horror stuff started happening, which I guess doesn't really take a front. It doesn't really it doesn't become the focus of the film until like maybe like the
Yeah,
final third. I enjoyed the fact that it didn't feel it never once felt like a cliche modern horror film.
yeah. So there's a girl in the film called Sarah Brooks who plays a ghost.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's done too much. I kind of felt like she was a little unnatural as well in the performance, which
yeah,
only made. I mean, the best performers in this film. Okay, so you got the wife character. I can't remember her name. Milo and the
yep,
dog. They were the best
yeah, yeah,
actors.
yeah, yeah.
Like
So
the dog was incredibly natural. Actually, it was. I don't know how they got him to do some of the stuff that he did. Very stoic character. This dog,
mhm.
reserved. It was good, but yeah, the other actors just didn't seem.
Yeah, so Sarah Brooks felt a little bit wooden, and especially when she was monologuing, I felt a little bit like this is kind of nuts.
Mm,
This is this isn't quite right. But yeah, it's a bit of a. I think what you said just now is an icky, sticky, a bit of a dirty film. I guess it kind of you're supposed to make it feel like that because the protagonist isn't like a really likable guy.
no,
You understand he's got a bit of a shady past, and he's not like faithful to his wife. So all of these things like do make you feel a little bit icky, and like the house makes you feel a bit icky as well because it's like it's a bit run down. It's a bit like it looks really outdated, and then like
yeah,
there's loads of leakages and moldages. That's not a
yeah.
word.
Also, like
And
the decor. I mean, it's like a. Um, uh, where is this place?
in
Chicago. So
America
it's okay.
somewhere. Yeah,
Like there's weird decor. This was like the plaster cast like things on the walls that look wet and icky, even though they're probably not. I think they're like shiny and do you know what I mean? Like they're like sort of floral things that looked bizarre.
we
Like
spend like about a week with the main character as well, who's supposed to be renovating this house. He gets nothing done. He
yeah,
gets absolute. The house looks no different. So interest. So his name's Don Koch.
yeah,
Koch.
yeah. That's fine.
Like
You don't like that name.
Don Koch. Just sounds a bit silly, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, and I guess it didn't go. Sorry, sniffling. It didn't go anywhere particularly unexpected, but it didn't feel like a super cliche film. I mean,
I would still recommend people watch it. I think it's got something about it, like the practical effects and some of the gorier, weirder aspects, like when they starts breaking open the walls and stuff. I thought that's
it was
quite
a bit.
cool.
It was a bit Silent Hill in places.
Yeah,
It's a bit like the Silent Hill game The Room, where
I
it
like that
makes
one.
the most of like
Yeah,
all of the claustrophobia and stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah. Okay, so I mean, the film opens. We've got ex-lawyer Don Koch. He's gone to this house that he's bought. He's bought and paid for, and he's going to renovate it up. He's got like a month or so to do it before his wife comes and joins him. Apparently, the wife is the breadwinner. She owns a company. She's great, and Don is not great. But he's got a dog. The dog's called Cooper. Most of this film is him going Cooper, and like, the dog just
yeah,
wanders
yeah.
off. As soon as
There's a
they
hell of a
open the
lot of
door,
that.
as soon as they get there and they open the door, Cooper walks off, goes upstairs, and whilst Don's unloading his tools or whatever, Cooper starts licking at a puddle of what's like sick and bile and a condom, like a loose condom. Who knows where it's
Oh,
from?
yeah.
Um,
You'd
yeah,
think like he's obviously looked at this house before.
yeah.
Like, how's sick and bile and a condom ended up in that house before the last people? We don't really hear anything about the people who lived there before, do we?
No, interesting. We do a little bit because there's a woman across the road who says, "This is house. unless you've got a strong relationship or something, it but I don't know. I mean, what happens in them?
It'd
Do
just
they
be
all
like
die or disappear? Are they in the walls? We don't know.
they're all turned to guck and goop
Yeah,
and summit.
yeah. So the house itself, I think, is cool. Like you said, he doesn't seem to do much. Like,
No, and he does a lot of things like with minimal like tools, and he's kind of got a drill at one point. Uh, there's a weird bit with the drill where he kind of like goes to drill in a wall, and then the drill stops working, and he's pretty calm drilling it in,
yeah,
and then it stops working. He goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake! God
yeah,
damn!" And I'm like,
yeah.
Jesus
And then he like suplexes it and starts like
Suplex
elbow
is
dropping it and stuff.
the...
What's CM Punk's
So his
move?
so his finisher in WWE was go to sleep or the GTS. Did you go to sleep during this film?
No, not this time.
Oh, me neither. Me
Stayed
neither. I watched
awake.
it in.
Yeah,
Did I watch it in one go? Yeah, I watched it in one go. Yeah, so that was a bit over the top, and yeah, I mean, like, what was he doing? He did a bit of painting at one point. He covered up like a hole with some board.
to be fair, I
Painted
don't know
over it.
anything about house renovations, so
I mean, me neither. Me neither. Okay, but I didn't. But not once did I go, it's looking pretty good now, or I go, oh, he's making a lot of progress. I just thought, what are you doing with your life, mate?
painted the walls.
And he FaceTimes his wife in a way that no one has ever FaceTimed. Something was going on where he was like, he'd be talking to her, and then he'd go, look at all this stuff I've done. He'd be putting the phone around, but the phone would just be her face. You couldn't see the screen.
Yeah,
I couldn't live like that.
I think they would. That was a sort of technology thing where like they couldn't have it work in a real way because it wouldn't work for the story of the film. But that's not how Skype conversations work. Like you see what if you're using the backwards camera, then the screen shows. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really minor gripe to have, but you know that, and like the way the text messages looked when they came through, they were made on like Microsoft Paint or something, and that was annoying me.
Again, I think it's like a budget thing. But
Still annoying, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Okay, so he's doing his stuff, and there's like goop showing in the walls, and the plug sockets are constantly coming. And then there's a girl, like a neighbour, turns up called Sarah. She's like super flirty. Again, there's a weird camera moment here. That looks student filming. There's too much bokeh. You know what that is? Where it's like the foreground's in focus and the background's blurry and lovely. That's a student film sort of looking thing. And then, like the camera's, I think he breaks the 180 rule, which is where.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't feel right for the rest of when he's first talking to the Sarah character. Maybe that was intentional to sort of make it seem kind of odd, because we find out later that Sarah's a bit of a strange one. But like within, I think maybe that day, they just invites her up and has sex with her.
Yeah. It seems a bit out of nowhere, but maybe we're supposed to understand. You know, he's got absolutely no. There's a bit later when someone says he can't say no, and his wife says, "Tell me about it." So we're made to think that he's a very easily. Don't want to say easily led, because obviously it's his choice, but he obviously can't say no when it comes to anything he's offered. Do you want some chips? Even if he just had a full meal, he goes, "Go on then."
Go on then. Can't help himself. Yeah.
You're a wrestler. You can't be eating too many carbs. Think about the extra pounds. He's like, I don't care.
Do you want to fight in a UFC fight, even though you've never trained or anything? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh no, you got beaten in 30 seconds. Oh, it's horrible that's going to be part of his legacy, because like
I still think it's amazing. I really like watching that documentary, the YouTube series.
The UFC training stuff. Yeah, it was great. I think he's just a very interesting guy. I like the relationship he's got with AJ Lee, who was in WWE as well. And I think when he was in WWE, even though I wasn't really watching at the time, but I've looked back on it a lot, he was a very interesting, unique character. And for a product like WWE, which is very heavily written by written by loads of different people, he sort of really brought something unique to it, and that's why it's a bit disappointing that this is essentially his first leading cinematic turn, isn't it? I don't know if he's been in films before. So it's frustrating that he's kind of a bit. I don't know. I think this is what I kind of think about his performance. I know it's being a bit generalising here. It almost felt like he was trying to channel a bit of Bruce Campbell,
a
bit of Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
And at times, and this is obviously a compliment. At times, I feel like he channeled Bruce Campbell stuff quite well. Obviously, not the comedy elements of it, but almost like the desperate,
Wide-eyed
kinetic,
face.
wide-eyed
Yeah.
sort of stuff. I think he channeled it quite well. And there were even a couple of moments where, unfortunately, not when he was talking, but there were almost a couple of moments where he did sort of channel the Jack Nicholson a little bit.
It's
And
weird.
I think
Yeah, go on, sorry.
unhinged sort of bastard protagonist.
I think maybe a little bit more like coaching just to sort of get that naturalistic dialogue thing happening. It could be pretty good. But I think this film, it feels like he's figuring out how to be in front of a camera in that
But
way.
then at the same time, he doesn't get many scenes with good actors as well. So
Yeah.
if he had some more scenes with someone he could kind of really really bounce off of, maybe
Yeah.
it would be a bit better. But he gets scenes with the girl obviously that he cheats on his wife with, his friend Milo, who's pretty good, but they don't
Mm.
they have like a bit of an argument slash.
Again,
See.
so you mean like the emotion? It didn't really make sense, that argument. It didn't.
No.
They didn't sell it.
No, exactly. And I think if someone was telling you not to cheat on your wife, you probably hold your hands up and say, "All right, mate, I know I've had a beast," but he kind of just goes like, "Oh, I'll do what I want."
Yeah.
Yeah, and there weren't any other really sort of standout characters. Because again, when you think about it, CM Punk and the actress who played his wife didn't share any actual screen time apart from Skype calls.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so Milo, this guy who's his mate, oh no, it's his wife's mate. He turns up and he's helping out. He's hammering some bits on wall and painting or whatever. I don't know, doing. But he's pretty good. He's pretty nice. And then they go drinking, and he's like, "Should you be drinking or something? You've got a straight edge tattoo." And he says, "Leave it alone, Milo."
Leave it
Jesus.
alone. I know I got a tattoo of it, but it doesn't mean it's my lifestyle or anything like that. Jeez,
Leave it alone, Milo. I know I've got a wife, but it's my lifestyle. He
my
just-
lifestyle. Do what I want. You've also got a tattoo which says "I hate beer" on your arm, and you're drinking a beer. Oh, come on! Don't let my tattoos
Yeah.
sum me up like that.
So Sarah turns up whilst Milo's there, and she's a little bit sort of I don't know, too friendly for someone who's just a neighbor, like a random neighbor, like you shouldn't know really at all. But then Milo catches Don like threatening her, or I can't remember what he says. Like,
It's just, yeah, I mean, it just looks a bit. I think he basically tells her that she needs to stay away. What happened was like a mistake, but he's married and all that stuff. Yeah, so obviously he's trying to sort the situation out, and when Milo sees it, obviously he automatically recognizes that something is up, something's not quite right.
yeah. So this Sarah character is suddenly in the basement.
Yeah, so there's a bit where, so Don isn't in the house, is he, at this point? And Milo's sort of like carrying on doing what he's doing, carrying on working. He ends up following Sarah down into the basement, I think, or he goes down into the basement and she's there,
Yeah.
and she clumps him on the head with a hammer.
It's a pretty good. It's pretty gruesome. There's like his like right eyeball is like caved in or something. He's trying to get away.
This is a pretty good, effective horror moment, which was when he was trying to crawl up the stairs, trying to escape. He looks up and sees just like this horrible, disfigured, grotesque. Reminded me a bit of Lisa Trevor in the Resident Evil first game.
Yeah.
The remake, where she's a bit like all sort of like deformed and stuff. And we only see her for a second before, Sarah continues smashing them in. So we know something's not quite right. All these weird sort of supernatural things that are happening around the house. There's a lot.
Sarah's a ghost, right? I mean, we've pretty much picked up on it that she's like not a normal person.
So we understand. I kind of thought maybe she's a ghost, or maybe she's like in cahoots with the supernatural forces of the house. That's what I kind of thought of this.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because and obviously there's a lot of weird things happening, like marbles kind of popping out of orifices in the house and rolling around. That happens a lot. There's a moment where Don swallows one of these marbles, and it's not really like mentioned.
Yeah.
Or-
I think it's meant to be like he's becoming possessed or something. It's a weird moment, but it's bizarre. He also gets so he can't find Milo, and then he starts to look for him in the walls. He gets like a little.
Well, no, he he thinks Milo's just gone, and he texts Milo saying like, "Sorry about that disagreement we had," and Milo's like, "It's fine." But obviously, then we find the next day that the dog has been stuffed dead into the dryer, and obviously, CM Punk reacts. This is another thing. CM Punk reacts badly, but not probably as you would react if you find your dog dead, stuffed in a tumble dryer. I think you'd be, I don't know, you'd be enraged or like confused and just like, what the fuck? He seems a bit like, almost a bit peeved when he calls. So he calls the police. There's like an unhelpful sort of police officer who like does, again, this police officer probably doesn't quite act how someone genuinely would. Yeah. Where he's like, what's her name? Sarah.
Yeah.
No second name?
Someone has killed the dog in a gruesome way and put them in the dryer. Like, I think if CM Punk or anyone who this happened to would be like losing their mind, like they'd be like wanting to like get vengeance. They'd be like grief, like, you know, completely full of grief. And
this is something else that I kind of feel there's a problem with this performance, is that when it gets to the point where Don eventually does take his revenge, so later on there's no evidence against Sarah, so the police officer is a bit like, oh, screw it, so what? But there's a bit later where she comes back into the house and he takes her down so he basically apologizes to her for mistreating her and that he lied to her, and he said, I'm sorry, and then he takes her down to the basement, and I don't feel like him killing her is earned. I don't feel like I believe that he's capable of this.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is a turn or anything. He kind of does it, whacks her on the head, and then tries to put her body inside the walls, behind like this like brick barricade that he's made.
Yeah.
And then she vanishes. Her body vanishes. And this is why, like, again, even now, like the crazy stuff that's happening, he just does feel a bit annoyed by it. Yeah. Like he's lost his keys or something. He's like, the bloody body's gone. Jesus. Not like, what the hell, the body's gone.
At what point does he start to stick a camera into the walls?
Yeah, so I think not long after this, he's kind of looking for her. So obviously, someone's right. He drills holes in the walls. He puts a camera in. This is quite good because also how much money has he invested in like technology around his house? He's like got CCTV cameras set up.
Yeah.
Got this like, what's that camera called that he uses?
I don't know, like a cable camera thing. Yeah.
Camera on a string.
Yeah.
One that you usually put out your arse.
Yeah.
But he puts it into the walls, and that's quite good. Is that when it's going down, you see all the like insides of the walls, and then we see like some hair and like a creepy little giggle.
Yeah.
Which is pretty creepy, and then he starts smashing the wall up, obviously, and then he finds Milo's dead
face.
body.
Yeah.
He's been rammed into the walls.
I like these bits. I like that sort of, because it's like he's digging at the walls, and then there's like bloody sort of skin stuff there, and it's like breathing. I like it. It's weird. It's
I like
it needs
that.
more of that sort of surreal horror. I think would work for this film.
Yeah. And then it's a bit weird because he gets a text from Sarah as well, who's still alive, even though she's had her head hammered in.
Yeah.
And I think the ghosts use phones. The ghosts use text.
So
and she sends him a text with a middle finger.
Yeah. There's about the ghost. She changes clothes, which I don't think ghosts should be changing clothes. To me, I don't think they should be. And like modern clothes, like she doesn't look like she's a ghost from, like the 70s or whatever it is.
That's what I thought. Maybe she's not a ghost. Maybe she's like in cahoots with the supernatural elements of it. Maybe she's, I don't know, a manifestation of the house in some way. I don't know.
I think a bit more thought about the way the ghosts would look wouldn't have gone amiss.
But the way that she sends a text message with her like that, saying actions have consequences, feels just very silly.
Not
always feels like
a
ghost doing that. Like it feels a bit like playful and a bit like, actions have consequences. Not the fact that she's murdered his mate. It's just all a bit mad. You know what I mean? I feel like something else needed to be done there. She didn't need to receive a text from him.
It's a good bits from maybe the best bits around the film now, when he gets attacked by marbles, like he's running away and the marbles are coming after him, and
that's very very
goes
good.
goes in his leg. It's like that scene in The Mummy where Ahmed Jalili gets a scarab beetle in his leg. He's following it up, and he's got his Stanley knife. What did he call it in America? A box cutter. and he's like trying to slice out this thing. It's cutting his body to shit. Like it's gruesome.
One's going all up his face towards his eyeball, and that's when
it's like under his eye. it's
when the
good.
weird, creepy, disfigured woman sort of turns up again with her weird giggles and creepy. She sort of crawls out the walls and comes towards him with marbles. I mean it's like unique. It's strange. You know what I mean? It's not.
Especially when she drops he gets one out and she drops the bag of marbles, and it's like we don't see what happens from then on, but you kind of get the idea that he just starts playing marbles.
I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty gruesome. One thing we didn't mention before is that earlier, CM Punk and his mate, they found in the bedroom when the ceiling collapsed. There's this weird sort of like viewing platform up on the third floor. So this is another thing. Like the film's called Girl on the Third Floor, but like
which girl are they talking about?
Which girl are they talking about?
The third floor. I don't know which.
Yeah. So the third floor is that obviously where that viewing platform is.
Right.
But the girl never really gets linked to the third floor too much. He doesn't first meet her on the third floor. She doesn't like keep appearing on the third floor. She kind of she's on the first floor most of the time. But there is a third floor. It's almost like going girl and there's a third floor.
Girl on the third floor and in the walls.
And in the bloody
she's
walls, mate.
Downstairs in the basement now. Girl, where is she now? Nobody knows. It's a long title. I can see why they trimmed it down.
So what else? This
is where it's this is the best thing. The smartest thing about the film, I think, is that we did realise that Don is a dickhead. He is not a likable protagonist at this point. So now we shift perspectives, and now we're in the wife's point of view, and she turns out to be the main sort of protagonist of the film.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the house that turns out to be protagonist. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. So she turns up. She looks around the house trying to find the dog. Obviously, the dog's not there because he's bloody dead. And then it's a bit like heavy-handed with the way she finds like some newspaper and it says, "House is illegal brothel. Girl died. Body never found." Like that's a bit heavy-handed that she kind of just finds that. Where does she find that? Like in the wall or something? And like looks at it and goes like, "Oh."
It's like circled and everything.
Yeah.
Read this bit.
She's been in the house for like a minute.
Yeah.
And CM Punk didn't find any of that shit at any point, and the whole time he was being there. But maybe the house was manipulating him, trying to get on his. So then we do sort of find out a little bit about CM Punk's background, and that he was like a lawyer and he screwed people over.
Stole a load of money. Yeah.
Stole a load of money.
Slept with someone.
Slept with someone as well. Yeah. So obviously, I guess we don't find that out that early because we're supposed to kind of like be on his side a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's like 2 points, two rounds of scariness for Liz. Like the first point she goes in there, I think this is when she sees the blood and she's like saying, "This is a mess, this place." She sees all the beer bottles that he's been drinking. She's angry at him, and then she gets the Sarah ghost character starts chasing around with a box cutter. That's this point, right?
No, I don't think that's immediately. So the Sarah sort of just turns up first and kind of like says, "Oh, she's been helping Don," and Liz is obviously very like, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, yeah, I've been helping him. I've been like I'm his architecture assistant essentially."
Yeah.
And obviously Liz is immediately like, "Oh, right, someone's not quite right here." She knows what her husband's like.
Yeah.
And then Liz sort of has a conversation with someone called Sadie, who like lives opposite. And
right. Yeah.
Kind of like. And she tells her a little bit about the house being like a.
Sadie's the kind of role that would be played by Lynn Shay if this was a Blumhouse film.
Oh yeah, 100%. Lynn Shay would have been perfect for this. So that's a bit weird. And then there is a bit where Sarah does start chasing Liz with a box cutter, and it's almost like, we genuinely do believe that this is she's getting pissed off and freaked out. This is the thing. This is where CM Punk kind of reacted differently.
Yeah. So she goes back to the house, right?
She goes back to the house, and she finds basically loads of people in the house, including Sarah, who's making cocktails, and they're all dressed in various. They look like, turn of the century, well maybe like, I don't know, 20s. Is it supposed to be like 20s or something? Or?
It feels like
they all look like they're dressed like that. And again, Liz never leaves at a moment when you would leave. She kind of like, what are you guys doing in my house? What's going on here? Is there a party? Where's Don?
Yeah.
Like, she never gets to a point where she goes, I'm out. Whatever the hell's going on here, see you later. She never gets to that point, which is a bit.
She goes up onto the viewing platform and she finds a pew, somewhere to see, down, and there's like the Sarah character is putting on a sexy display. She gets spanked, and then when there's a nice like music bit here, it feels kind of fun housey, and then she finds the bedroom where the girl on the third floor sleeps. There's like little child drawings and stuff. It's good. It's a good little moment. I don't think it's perfect. It feels like American Horror Story to me.
Yep. We made that exact same. What word am I thinking? Comparison.
Yeah.
It felt very American Horror Story. Yeah, definitely.
She runs downstairs to try and get into the bedroom again, and then when she does get in there, like the viewing platform's gone again because the way
there's a guy in like a bird mask as well who was like whipping Sarah at some point.
Who I thought was Dunn, but he had no tattoos. So
and he was in much better shape. Sorry, Phil.
Yeah.
Sorry, Phil.
Okay, so then she gets attacked by Sarah, right?
So no, Don basically comes out of the cupboard. He's covered in all these cuts where obviously he's been cutting the marbles out. And I thought this was pretty effective. I didn't really see this particular moment coming. So basically, he begs Liz to forgive him, and she refuses. And then he starts laughing, tearing at his skin, tearing bits off. And then it's Sarah inside Don's skin, and she sort of cuts herself out. And that
bit's quite gruesome. He starts cutting his head. He's like laughing loud. This kind of manic stuff, I think, works quite well for CM Punk. So you can go a bit over the top because it's obviously not really him; it's a sort of possessed version of him or something. He gets the box cutters, like unzips his scalp, and then rips himself open, and it's Sarah underneath. Again, nice little practical effects moment. Sarah runs away, and she sees Milo's face is laughing in the wall. And it's that same 70s zoom cut.
Zoom, I like that though. I really do like that.
Yeah,
There's something about it.
It works for this film. I think it works for this film quite well. And then she sees the girl from the third floor with the mangled head, and she does a sort of badass chick moment. She's like, "Oh hell no!"
It's like,
I know you ain't standing in the way there, looking all creepy, or whatever she says.
She just says something like, "Nope." No, she says, "Nope."
Nope. That's it. Yeah.
She goes, "Nope." Yeah. So obviously one of those sort of like almost like a fourth wall break-in moment, and even though it's not a fourth wall break-in moment, smashes the girl's head in, and then it's all like gunky and gooey and watery.
I don't want to think about it. It's gross.
It's gross. And then she leaves the house, but when she leaves, that Sadie is there, the one who lives opposite, and she basically just goes, "I knew this house was haunted the entire time, but the rules." Why don't you tell me? And she's like, "Well, the rules are that someone must willingly confront it. Don failed. Liz was given a choice, and now she can end the curse herself."
I don't know. From here on out, I'm out of the film. What? So she now goes back into the house, gets the corpse out of the wall, which I guess is the girl from the third floor, because she disappeared some time ago, and no one knows where she went. And then they give her a proper burial, and then she moves back into the house with the baby. I don't know. I don't understand what the it doesn't seem to make sense in a sort of. I just something doesn't ring true about that plot point at all for me. It just doesn't work. It feels like a kind of lazy ending. They aim for a sting at the end as well, with the baby is sleeping in the cot, and then there's marbles dropping from the top, dropping on the baby's face. By the way, marbles just peppering your baby's face with marbles.
I just get choking hazard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you see Dom's faces in the grill, even looking at him. I mean, I guess the last 10 minutes I was like, no, nope. Yeah, but I liked a lot of it. I just think it didn't quite come together as well as it probably could have.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Okay, man, I've got some trivia for you.
Lovely.
Okay, so this is Travis Stevens' first film he's wrote and directed, first feature film. How many producing credits does Travis Stevens have?
I think I know this because I think I was looking a while ago. It's more than 10. 11?
26.
Oh shit!
He's
Jesus.
done a lot.
Okay.
He's some that our audience might know. We Are Still Here. Did you see that one?
Nope.
A similar sort of budget kind of film. I think that one's really good. It's about like burnt people in the basement.
Yeah, I think I looked at a lot of his stuff, and I think I hadn't seen all that much.
Starry Eyes, which I actually thought was pretty great.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I've not seen it though.
So he's done a lot of producing. I think he said I saw it around interviews. He's going to do more writing and directing, and less just producing. I think. Okay, number 2, Name Game. You ready?
Oh, lovely. Yes.
An Irish man with a very thick Irish accent moves into the house to find it's being haunted by a squirrel, which is always seen on the top of the bathroom door. By the way, he refers to the bathroom door as the turd door. What is the film called?
The squirrel on the turd door.
Squirrel on the turd door.
The squirrel on the turd door.
Okay.
I feel like I could have got that without you needing to do the last bit.
Okay.
Well, not showing off, but just a note.
The bathroom door bit. You could have got turd door from bathroom door. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, maybe not turd door.
Do you call it the turd door?
I was going to say third floor. It's because you said heavy Irish accent.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Number 3. What does the CM in CM Punk stand for? Is it A, chick magnet, B, chicken magnet, C, crap magnet?
So I thought he never really officially said, and I feel like chip magnet was something that he'd said, which was kind of like a bit of a joke. But so that's the only one I know. So I'll say chick magnet.
Sure, it's not crap magnet. You would know more about this than me. But so in the Wikipedia it says, has stated that the CM in his wrestling name has no real meaning. It originally stood for Chick Magnet, which was the name of a tag team who was thrown into it at the last minute.
Okay.
So who knows?
Yeah, that's good enough. I mean, in that case, it pretty much does stand for Chip Magnet then.
Okay. Number 4. This is a new spin on the name game. I'm calling it Movie Mash, where 2 films become one. So 2 film titles will combine, and you've got to get the combined film title.
Okay.
The synopsis: Captain Jack Sparrow and Elizabeth Turner enter the haunted house to try and reclaim their ship, which was last seen on the 3rd floor. Can you name the film?
The Pearl on the 3rd floor.
Well, so the full... Go on, sorry.
What?
Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, I'll give you that, mate. I'll let you add that one.
Okay, thanks. One point to me. Okay, so number 5. Oh, okay, I've got another name game. Standard name game, right?
Lovely.
A man moves into a house and he's right into his crafts, and he wants to make a furry Christmas card, but all of his furs and felts and Pritt stick and glitter is in this one drawer, and he knows this is the right drawer because he's stuck loads of bits of fur to it, but he can't get into it because there's a girl standing on it.
The girl on the fur drawer.
Yeah, it works.
I like that. That's good, mate. I like that one. Give me that one.
Okay, I need to rate the film, man. I have no idea what you're going to go for.
Oh, Jesus.
C. M. Punk is in this film, so what are you going to go for?
It's definitely right. It's definitely a C for CM Punk. I think I might go for a C. I was going to go for a C minus, but I feel like now we've chatted about it a bit more, I realised I liked more about it than I didn't like, if that makes sense. So yeah, it wasn't the easiest watch. I think it was a bit jarring, a bit strange, but it's got a lot of good ideas. I'm not saying those good ideas are always executed really well, but sometimes those good ideas are sort of good enough just on their own. They don't need to be executed massively well. And it's kind of I like the aesthetic of the film.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So yeah, I think I would go for a C, straight up C, no mucking about.
I think this film tried to do something unique, and do the haunted house thing with its own spin. I was kind of like, it didn't completely work, but I mean, it's a cool story. I don't think it quite works in the end. It kind of put me off in the end actually, but I liked all the practical effects. I think they did a lot with probably was potentially quite a small budget. So I was like, between C plus and B minus. I think I'm going to give C plus. C plus.
That's good.
It feels like the right place for it. Yeah, man. Okay, so next week we are taking a Christmas. Taking a Christmas. We're gonna have one of them.
We're gonna do a Christmas. Yeah, we don't want to release an episode on Christmas Day, because people don't care.
No. And then the week after that, we are going to get Mr. Sheets himself, Andy Conduit Turner, on, I believe, if he's free.
Andy Sheets.
And we're going to do like a roundup episode, something to do with last year. And we're going to do
so we're going to do like so last year we did like a year in review, where we kind of discuss our favorite films, our least favorite films, things we've missed, things we're looking forward to next year. Well, I guess because it's the end of the decade as well, we're going to have a little bit of a chat about our favorite films of the decade, favorite horror films of the decade.
Cool. Right.
How exciting.
Sounds good. Yeah. All right, man. So thanks to everyone listening. Thanks to Kovacs Kalman for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. If you enjoyed the show, consider giving us a rating and review in iTunes. Remember to hit subscribe. Thanks to people in the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. Yeah. Thanks to Kristen for the little email at the start. That was nice.
Thank you.
Thanks to Makoto Ben for being a horror dude. What?
Thanks very much, Luke, for also being a right horror dude.
Oh.
And thanks to CM Punk.
Thanks, Punk.
Thanks, Punky.
Alright. Bye.
Bye.